So another way of thinking about beats is in groups, and not just like how long each note is, but usually when you play music, you're in a particular mode, or what we call signature, which defines how many beats are in each group, the way you kind of feel the music and the way you accent things. And the most common grouping of beats is in 4 beats at a time. Each of these groups is what's called a measure. You heard me counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so that I was counting the most common measure, and I was doing it in dividing each beat in half. The most basic way of writing a beat in music, I'm gonna actually get into notation a little bit, is what we call a quarter note. And a quarter note looks like this. And the reason it's called a quarter note is because, well, it's 1/4 of your typical 4-beat measure. There's 4 of them in a measure. There's a thing that we do at the beginning of, in music, usually you'll see like a clef. And then you'll see some numbers like this. It's a bad treble clef. And then you'll see 2 numbers like this. And I think this is really confusing for a lot of people. But basically just look at it as a fraction. This is saying that you have 3 quarter notes. 3 quarters. So 3 quarters, that's the fraction it is, means there's 3 quarter notes per measure. So this would be a kind of normal three-four measure. And I'll put, this is called a bar line, what I just drew there, to delineate that we've just ended a measure. So that, really sloppily, is a 3/4 measure with 3 beats in it. So I've just written out some of the basic ways of writing out rhythm in music. We just went over the quarter note, which I was explaining equals 1 beat. And that's because the most common time signature is 4/4, and a beat is 1/4 of that. I think the whole way that we name notes is a little bit confusing because it's based on a 4/4 measure, but we're not always in 4/4. So anyway, it's easier to just explain it by how many beats something is, rather than what relation it has to a 4/4 measure. Unfortunately, that's the way we named the notes. So this is a quarter note, which takes 1 beat. The next one is a half note, which takes 2 beats. Half, because it would be half of a 4/4 measure. The next one is a whole note, which takes 4 beats, and it's basically a whole 4/4 measure. And then we have our smaller values, which are the eighth notes. That's half a beat, and there would be 8 in a 4/4 measure if you were to line up a bunch of them. And there's 2 ways of writing an eighth note. One is, this is how they look in groups, and this is how you might see one in singly. You have a little flag, like the stem here has been broken. And then we'll take it a little bit further. Every time you divide it from that point, you divide it in half, and you just add another little line under here, and it divides in half again. So this is a 16th note, because there's 16 in a 4/4 measure, but it's really 1/4 of a beat. So this is 1 beat of 16th notes, and this is 1 when it's been separated out by itself. There's little broken flags there.